John, we're hearing some rumblings. Are you getting the sense that the U.S. Justice Department may be getting ready to bring some kind of an antitrust suit against Google?
The drum beats are going, that's for sure. It's been pretty obvious. Google and Apple, Facebook and Amazon are all being investigated. Google's probably the one that's the most vulnerable to antitrust charges. I think that there's a lot of momentum moving on both sides of the political spectrum to go after these kind of companies for antitrust considerations. So I would expect it to happen fairly soon, yeah.
You say Google is the most vulnerable. Why do you say that?
I think because it's such a dominant player in search and information, and it's been the most picked on one from every single business is really impacted by Google. The advertisers, the publishers, the online travel agency companies, hotels, restaurants. Yelp's been a very vocal complainer about Google. Some of the online travel agencies have also been very vocal. So it's the one that, it controls the search. It's its own advertising company. It does prioritize its own advertisement clients first and foremost. So it's the one that probably has the most exposure across the broadest spectrum.
We know the EU is a lot more aggressive with these kinds of things, and they've already fined Google.
They fined everybody.
Yeah, a while ago, which essentially is a drop in the bucket for the company. But given current conditions in the United States with the pandemic, with social unrest, with the looming election, do you think that the government even has the appetite to go ahead with something like this? Do you think they may just say, yeah, you know what, we're good right now, it's just too big to tackle?
I think they have the appetite because they have nothing to lose by going after it. There's not going to be any decisions made before the election happens. In fact, there's every reason to believe that this antitrust investigation will go on for years. The Microsoft went on for, I think, about 5 to 10 years before any real outcomes were determined. So I think there's an appetite there. I think politically, these companies are easy punching bags. And so I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. And I think appetite, political points is all the appetite the politicians need right now.
So the appetite's there, you think they have the stomach for it. But then again, these companies are so big, so dominating, so powerful. They spend a lot of money lobbying, spend a lot of money funding activist groups. So is there an element within government, among regulators, where they're almost fearful of even getting involved with this? You say they have the appetite, but do you think there is an element of fear?
I think that there's philosophical differences amongst the parties in terms of what kind of antitrust they want to go after. I mean, they have to be careful. They don't want to stifle innovation. These are highly innovative companies. They're big companies. They're major employers. And they are, in many respects, the banners of success for American capitalism. So you don't want to be seen to be punishing companies just because they've been successful and because they're big. We've talked about freedom of information, freedom of speech. Privacy issues are obviously big buzzwords right now, particularly in this day and age when we're trying to keep track of people because they may be infected, those kinds of things. So I think there's a lot of will on both sides of the aisle to go after these technological leaders, and so it wouldn't surprise me.
You touched on Microsoft. That was the last big antitrust case in tech, late 90s, early 2000s. As you mentioned, it dragged on for years. So hypothetically, if there is a case against Google, could Google just let it drag on, technology moves on, and ultimately whatever they're fined with or whatever regulations are brought down upon the company, Alphabet, the parent company, that it'll be minimal. Look at Microsoft now. It's bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, Google's best defense is the competition is just a click away. And that's what they've been saying, and it has the advantage of being truthful. And if you look at a particular example, the online travel agency business, for example, Expedia is they're a customer of Google's, and they're also a competitor of Google's. And they have suffered, and they've said publicly that they suffer because of Google's prioritizing its own ads. Whereas Booking Holdings has created a very compelling product and compelling services and making it easier for the customer to actually use their app. And so they are saying, Google's not a problem for us. We're developing our own unique proposition. And that's really the best argument for Google, is that other people are actually being successful in a world that's very, very competitive.